Ahsoka Tano stood before the Jedi Council, her heart heavy with sadness and disappointment. She had been accused of a crime she didn't commit, and despite her best efforts to prove her innocence, the Council had voted to expel her from the Jedi Order. This decision changed the course of Star Wars forever. Despite her innocence being proven, she felt her connection to the Jedi had been shaken, and ultimately she decided to leave. So what if things didn't go this way? But instead, what if Ahsoka Tano stayed in the Jedi Order? Our story begins at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. After Ahsoka was framed of a bombing she didn't commit, the Council offered her place back on the Order, which she gracefully accepted. The biggest change this would have was within Anakin himself. With Ahsoka still in the Jedi Order, his best friend was still with him and could support him through the upcoming events in his life. They continued business as usual, going on countless missions and saving worlds from cruel separatists. Anakin and Ahsoka's bond continued to grow. They were sent on a campaign during the Clone Wars to a planet called Onderon. The separatists have pressed their forces deep within the planet and taken the main city. Only 18 months earlier had the two Jedi liberated Onderon from the separatists. During this mission, Anakin and Ahsoka's loyalty was once again tested. They needed to work together in order to save the planet from destruction and free millions of people from tyrannical evil. The Jedi combat the separatists with resistance fighters who wish to liberate the planet. Spearheaded by Saul Guerrera, the combination of their knowledge of the streets and the Jedi and clones' battle tactics caused them to earn victory. Once again, the connection between Anakin and Ahsoka causes the planet to earn its freedom. A year after Ahsoka decided to stay in the Jedi Order, Anakin received nightmares of his wife dying in childbirth. This vision of Padme completely consumed him and controlled his every move. For days on end, he went absolutely crazy, not knowing what to do. When he spoke to Padme about it, she brushed it to the side and said that she wasn't going to die. But Anakin couldn't get it out of his head. It drove him insane. With Ahsoka still in the Jedi Order at this point, Anakin decided to confide his feelings in her. She was the person he trusted most in the world, arguably above Padme even. Anakin went to her room at the Jedi Temple to talk to her. He explained the nightmares he has been getting and how they are repetitive and happen every night. This also means telling Ahsoka about his and Padme's relationship and that Padme was pregnant. This was extremely risky and an unsure decision for Anakin to make, but he decided to do it because of his undying loyalty and trust with Ahsoka. Ahsoka was taken aback by Anakin's vulnerability, but she knew that it was her duty as a Jedi to help him in whatever way she could. Together, they delved deeper into Anakin's fears and anxieties, exploring the source of his nightmares. Ahsoka listened patiently as Anakin spoke about his love for Padme and his fear of losing her. She offered him words of encouragement and support, reminding him of the Jedi Code and their duty to serve the Force. As they talked, Ahsoka realized she had a unique perspective on Anakin's situation. She had seen firsthand the dangers of attachment and how it could lead to the dark side. She knew that she had to be honest with Anakin and help him find a way to deal with his fears without succumbing to his emotions. Meanwhile, Anakin is called into Palpatine's office. The Chancellor manipulates Anakin before confessing his true identity as a Sith Lord. He explains to Anakin that he can teach him the power to save Padme from death, something that he has been searching for relentlessly, but to no avail. At this moment, I think that Anakin would leave and go and confide these thoughts to Ahsoka instead of Mace Windu. He told her everything he knew about Palpatine and his true identity as a Sith Lord. Ahsoka listened patiently, her eyes wide with shock and concern. She could see the conflict in Anakin's eyes and knew that this was a heavy burden for him to bear. But she also saw the determination in his face and knew that he was resolved to do what was right, no matter the cost. Ahsoka sensed the darkness growing within Anakin, and she knew that they couldn't keep this information to themselves. Together, the two go to the Jedi Council and explained what they have learned. The Council gasped at the mention of the Chancellor being a Sith Lord. Yoda was quick to say that he will return immediately. This changed everything. The coming days would be the most important that the Republic had ever faced. If they proceeded incorrectly, the entire Republic may fall. Obi-Wan returns from Utapau, where he has defeated General Grievous. This placed the Jedi in an amazing position. With Grievous off the board, the Clone Wars were effectively done. Anakin and Ahsoka were told to remain at the Jedi Temple and wait for them to return. And so, Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, Kit Fisto, Agen Kolar, and Saesee Tiin go to Palpatine's office to confront him. Marching into the room, they all ignite their lightsabers as Windu explains that Palpatine is under arrest. But Palpatine refuses, standing to his feet and calling upon his lightsaber. He smirked before taking one step forward and igniting a crimson red blade. Leaping forward and screaming a Sith cry, Palpatine locked blade with the Jedi whilst using the Force to disarm and disorientate the others. Bouncing from surface to surface, he was able to gain different vantage points across the room in order to attack the confused Jedi. Very quickly, Agen Kolar and Saesee Tiin were struck down by Palpatine as he impaled and killed them. As the fighting continued, colors of red, blue, purple, and green flashed over all corners of the room and began to illuminate speeders flying past the window. Yoda had the upper hand on Sidious, finding different angles due to his small size and speed. But Palpatine was able to use his Force power to knock Yoda into the corner of the room with Force lightning. This placed Palpatine in a very good position. He hadn't killed Yoda, but he got him out of the fight. Now he prioritizes his attacks on Kit Fisto and Obi-Wan, the two weaker Jedi left. Palpatine was able to kick Obi-Wan in the head and raise Kit Fisto in the air, choking him with the Force before throwing one of his red lightsabers into his skull. But the problem that Palpatine was facing was Mace Windu. His powers were far greater than the ordinary Jedi due to his use of the Form 7 variant Vapod. Vapod was a variant that Mace Windu himself created in order to channel the dark side to enhance his abilities. Windu used this tactic now and tapped into the dark side to gain an upper hand, striking with all of his might. Palpatine began to worry. Whilst he fought with Mace, Obi-Wan had returned to his feet and swung his lightsaber for Palpatine. Now it was too much. Before long, Mace Windu was able to break both of Palpatine's lightsabers with his own and send him to the ground with the Force. Palpatine was defeated. Yoda slowly began to awaken at this point. Windu stood above Sidious and declared him the loser of their duel, and he was too dangerous to be kept alive. Windu's dark side tendencies came forward, and he raised his lightsaber to strike down Palpatine. But before Mace could continue, he heard two voices before him, commanding him to stop. It was Anakin and Ahsoka. They remind him that it is not the Jedi way, and you can't kill an unarmed man even if he is Darth Sidious. By this time, Yoda had got to his feet and was walking over, agreeing with Anakin and Ahsoka. Instead of killing Palpatine, he was arrested that day and put on trial. The Jedi presented the evidence from the security recordings to show Palpatine wielding the Force and a red lightsaber. Despite the fact it isn't illegal to be a Sith, the evidence presented by the Jedi confirmed that Palpatine was behind the Clone Wars and the subsequent trillions of deaths. Even though the Senate was shocked, and many refused to believe it, the evidence was too much. Palpatine was convicted and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of getting out. Anakin could now try and learn the secrets to saving Padme, with Palpatine in a cell. But after Padme suddenly went into labor and survived, there was no need. She gave birth to Luke and Leia, and she was completely fine. The kids grew up and joined the Jedi Order. The council was upset at Anakin for having a wife and kids, but let it happen due to him being the chosen one. Anakin and Padme would grow old together. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan would become family to the two children and assist the Skywalker family in whichever way possible. Anakin's life was blessed with happy memories following the Clone Wars. He was finally able to rest knowing that his family was safe and the galaxy was safe from the Sith. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Jar Jar Was a Sith Lord, or What If Mace Windu Arrested Palpatine. Please check out our Patreon if you would like to support the channel. The link is in the description below. All proceeds go towards making better videos for you guys. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.